Finn, I've decided I can't wait. You're the love of my life, and we should get married right now. This is what I've always hoped of and dreamed of, and it just works out so perfectly. I mean, I'm the prettiest, most talented girl at school, and you're like the prettiest, most talented guy at school. And after all, you can read and I can't, and it's just a match made in heaven. So, what do you say that we leave and go get married right now?
Uh, okay. But I have gym.
And welcome back to another episode of Crips and Corks. I'm your host, TJ, and the only siege I'm lifting is a siege on McDonald's, along with my nearly said coworker, my co-host.
Paul, in this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine,
Oh,
as
Jesus.
usual. But you know what? The light is not shining.
My light is not shining.
The light on the gays. The gays are going too far, okay? We have gone too far this time.
What have the gays done?
We need, okay. The dating market is so bad, right? We need, if you already have a boyfriend, I don't care if you're open, I don't care if you need poly, if you're poly or whatever. If you are in a current relationship, I'm gonna need all y'all to step on back, get off the apps, mind y'all business for a good 6 months, so the rest of us singles can have a chance and stop like wasting time and get a
Amen.
catfish, not catfish, but like start talking to someone and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I have a boyfriend. Oh, I'm poly. Oh, I'm nothing against poly people. Nothing against poly people. Nothing against people in open relationships. But y'all need to take a time out, get to know your boyfriend, get to know your partners or whatever, take a 6 month break, and let us singles who are actually single and need someone have a moment to intermingle with each other and not get distracted. Okay.
I think what really needs to happen, we need a poly dating app.
Yes, yes.
Um, where it's like Tinder, but exclusively for poly people.
They should name it Poliwhirl after the Pokemon.
I was gonna call it Polly Want a Cracker
Polly want a cracker. I like that
after the
one.
parrot. No, we'll call it Parrot
Parrot. Okay.
because Parrot
Polly want
because
a
Polly
cracker.
Want a Cracker.
Cracker. I barely know her.
Exactly. That's what these poly people be out here doing.
Mm.
But no, it's no, I totally like love poly people and like respect them. But sometimes it gets a little weird
Yeah. Yeah.
because I recently had an instance where I liked a guy and I wanted to pursue it. And I knew someone who was poly, who wasn't in a relationship with them, but was having fun with them on the side of their poly relationship that they're having with multiple partners.
Yeah.
And this is a side piece, and that term actually came up in discussion.
Hmm.
And it was like I got the vibe that like he did not want to share his side piece with me. And I was like, does your side piece not deserve to be someone's main bitch?
Exactly. Stop being selfish. Okay. Stop being selfish.
Like
Yeah.
you already have multiple boyfriends.
Exactly.
You do not get to tell me like no, don't pursue this person who's not a member of this relationship.
Right. This is probably the most conservative view I have, honestly. And what prompted this is we watched a dating show on the YouTube from Bob the Drag Queen, love
Yes,
Bob
we
the
did.
Drag Queen. And it's one of those where you pick it's one person versus five people, and at the end you narrow it down to the one person you want to go on the date with. And the one person he chose already had a boyfriend. Do you know how sick I would be if I chose that person not knowing they already had a boyfriend? And then you pick them, and all of a sudden, yeah, I have a boyfriend. I'm just here to
That
see
was
what's on the
dirty.
market. I would scream. I'm screaming.
You are screaming. I will say though, so Paul and I had very different reactions to this video. He sent it to me with, if you did this, I would be so pissed. And it was, I created a dating show to find my friend a boyfriend. And I went, what the fuck, so would I be? And you were like, you didn't even watch it. And I was like, well, if you did have a dating show to find me a boyfriend, I would be pissed.
See, I wouldn't. I actually want that. I need you to find me 5 eligible singles that I can pick from and go on a date with.
I'm going to put on Facebook, I'm going to put your picture. I'm going to say, I'm looking for 5 eligible gay singles to
Mhm.
participating in a dating game for my best friend. His likes include Conan Gray, TikTok, getting drunk on a Tuesday, and McDonald's.
Not necessarily in that order.
No, because if it was in that order, McDonald's and getting drunk on a Tuesday would be battling for one.
And you know what? That's on period. Exactly. Exactly. That's
But
on.
I
And then
did, I did.
on the,
Sorry, I'm going back to the video.
I was just gonna say real quick.
Yeah,
In my ad, you just have to play the Sarah McLachlan, in the
McLaughlin.
arms
Oh my
of
god.
an angel. You can rescue this twink from a lifetime of loneliness.
Okay, I might have to do this now. That might be your birthday gift. Just the video.
That's right. Sorry, what were you gonna
Um,
say?
going back to the video, I did then watch it, and I will say, Bob's face when the one who got chosen said that he had a boyfriend and he was in a monogamous relationship.
That made me so sick.
I know
Sick and
because
twisted.
Bob's like looking, he's like looking at the producer like mouth open, like
I would be so fucking sick. I am sick. These
why why? I mean, he did say that his boyfriend knew he was going on there, but why on earth, if you're in a monogamous relationship, would you go on a dating show?
because it's insane. Everything's insane, DJ, and I'm gonna have a coronary.
The gay, see, we've gone to the point where we've lost the plot with Gay Audacity. Gay Audacity is supposed to be about
Mhm.
gay men doing something that people don't think we have the ability to do, such as the fact that I can rewire an entire television on the sheer fact that I'm gay and I think I can do this.
Exactly. We need to take the gaze down a notch.
Gay Audacity is not, I have 16 boyfriends and I want one more.
Yes. Someone we need to be humbled a little bit more, okay? We need to be bullied just a little bit more. We've gotten too cocky.
Marsha P. Johnson did not throw that brick outside Stonewall at the cops for you
Mhm.
to hog all the men.
Exactly. Exactly.
Anything else?
No, what are you drinking?
I am drinking an Irish coffee.
Oh, that's fun. I am finishing my buzzball because
Oh, I
she's
thought you were going to
strong.
switch to water. I honestly thought you
Oh,
were going to
I
switch
do
to
have
water. Oh,
water.
you do have water
I have
so
water
that you can
in
drive
my
3 hours after this.
Sailor Moon cup if you can see it. Sailor
Yes.
Moon, yay! But yeah, I do have water. And I'm gonna finish my buzzball early in the episode, so I'll be sober by the time I drive.
Okay. Well, Paul here's looking at you.
Cheers.
Mm,
5 grapes for the buzzball. It tastes great.
5 grapes for the Irish coffee. It tastes great. I will say though, it is like it's not a true Irish coffee. It does have whiskey in it, but it's Canadian whiskey, not Irish whiskey.
Whiskey and coffee sounds disgusting. I will
Oh
get beyond.
shit! I just remembered. I still have Irish whiskey you got me in Ireland. I could have like made a real Irish coffee.
That's crazy. That's
You
whiskey's
didn't
probably
have
so old.
you didn't have Irish coffee. You don't like coffee. Never mind.
Yep, I don't drink coffee. Well, actually, I've been getting into coffee a little bit. What I do is I make it the night before and I put it in the fridge so it's cold in the morning and I drink it
So why
black
can't
and
you
cold.
just do iced coffees?
Nah, it's basically an iced coffee.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on the
No,
agenda?
let's get into it.
Paul, let me tell you a story.
Meep.
Have you not heard the news? The Maid of Lorraine, God's chosen soldier, the savior of France, has fallen. This was the news spreading throughout France after the capture of Joan of Arc in battle. Despite multiple escape attempts, she was sold by the Burgundians, who captured her to her enemies, the English. And now the English were determined to erase her permanently. This week, we cover the trial of Joan of Arc.
Period. So is this gonna be like a real like true crime episode, or like is this kind of like the
Yes.
Lizzie Borden trial type thing?
So yes and no.
Okay.
So with Lizzie Borden, there was an investigation, then there was a trial.
Mm-hmm.
In this, the trial is the investigation.
Oh, they're diving deep.
They're diving deep. And by diving deep, I mean these brilliant, educated, intellectual men who attended the best and only school in the world
I
did
guess it
nothing.
is the best if it's the only.
Um, it wasn't the only. It was the best though. Um, did nothing but repeat themselves for months at a time.
They were going in circles.
Yes.
Well, that's not good.
So, brief overview of last time. Joan of Arc, peasant girl from border town in France, heard voices from God, traveled to meet the King of France, who gave her an army. She won battles, and then she was captured. And she was sold by her captors, the Burgundians, who were allied with the English, to the English, who really, really, really hated her. They hated her all much as Paul hates a salad.
I do hate a salad. Well, actually, no. Did you know you can put honey mustard on a salad?
I don't like honey mustard, but okay.
Yeah, honey mustard on a salad is real good. Y'all need to get up in the honey mustard salad gig. That's so good. So good.
I'll remember that. If I get like good, so I like mustard and I like honey mustard, and most honey mustards don't taste like either of those things. But once I did have a honey mustard where it was like yellow mustard mixed with honey, and that was good. So if I can find something like that, we might have something.
That's cursed. I don't think honey mustard should taste like honey and mustard combined. It
It's
has to be
literally called honey mustard. Why would it not taste like honey nor mustard?
because it's its own unique thing, you know? It's its own
Yeah.
thing.
And the radical reconstruction of the South following the Civil War was neither radical nor reconstructive. Discuss.
Girl, that has nothing to do with what I'm saying, okay? Honey mustard is just honey mustard.
Why can't we not call it Dijon?
Well, do blue raspberries taste like blue raspberry? Like a
There
blush?
are no such thing as blue raspberries. It's literally made
Exactly.
up.
It's just the name. Exactly.
Uh,
It's just the name.
it just came about because Americans didn't want to learn another language and they couldn't say Dijon.
Dijon. Wait, we're going back to the mustard thing?
No, we're going back to Joan of Arc now. I can't talk about
Okay.
honey mustard.
Okay.
Following her ransom being paid by the English, Joan was transported to the English provisional capital at Rouen and shackled in a dimly lit tower cell. For 7 months, she was kept in a dank, dark cell, malnourished, without visitors, without being released to attend Mass or to have priests come and hear her confession.
Okay, but I bet she was so skinny. I bet the body was tea. I bet she was
Oh my
snatched.
God. He repeatedly begged her wardens, her guards, to be moved from the military prison in the city's castle to the church's prison, as she would be tried by the church, or to at least have women guarding her. She repeatedly complained that her guards attempted to rape and assault her to the point where she took to wearing double layers of clothes to dissuade them.
Damn, she probably looked like Billie Eilish.
Finally, the Duchess of Bedford appealed to the Earl of Warwick, in charge of the prison, saying that if Joan was raped, it would prove the French claim that the English were barbarians, and he had the guards replaced.
Period. Period. That's good. That's good that she got a woman in there. She didn't have to worry about these creepy ass men.
Well, the woman came in and then like heard what she was saying and then went and like her husband, the Duke of Bedford, was ruling France on behalf of King Henry VI of England at the time. So she's like temporary queen. She's like acting queen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And I love how Warwick, rather than actually doing anything about it, just was like, okay, I'll change the guards out then.
Period. Okay, okay.
While being held by the Burgundians, there was some hope that she would be rescued, but the English regarded her as a witch who had decimated their army by sorcery and wanted her destroyed.
It's always this about the witch. Like, can we accuse them of being something else, like a demon or just like something? It's always with the witch thing.
Yes.
It's annoying. Like, come up with another thing. There has to be other evil forces besides witches.
So you have to remember at this time, a witch was regarded as somebody who made a pact and had communication with the devil himself.
Right. And isn't it a thing too? Like one of the stories, like witches become witches by kissing the devil's ass or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that.
To destroy her, they decided to put her on trial, to invalidate her claims of divine intervention, to discredit French King Charles VII's coronation, and then to execute her. So they didn't just want to destroy her physically, they wanted to destroy her spiritually.
They wanted to
They
break her spirit.
not only break her spirit, but to break the spirit of the French by saying, this woman was not sent by God, she was sent by the devil. Charles is the devil's choice. Come to us, the English, whose King Henry VI is God's choice.
Girl, this really is giving Hunger Games. It's giving
Hunger
President
Games, Game of
Snow.
Thrones.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They decided to put her through an ecclesiastic trial to determine if she was a heretic, which means somebody who um, is practicing falsely the religion, or a witch in direct communication with the devil.
Ooh. I mean, I'd rather be accused of a witch than a heretic because at least witch, at least you have like some sway.
Something gone for you.
Exactly, because if the devil's talking right to you, you're that girl, okay? You're not just some heretic. You're that girl. The devil cares enough to talk to you.
No, I will say all witches are heretics, not all heretics are witches. So they
Hmm.
are related, but it's one of those things.
I feel.
Leading this trial would be Bishop Pierre Cochon, Bishop of Beauvais and former chaplain to the Duke of Burgundy. He had been the lead negotiator to get the Burgundians to release Joan to them and had been paid very well for his efforts, and perhaps hoping for another big payday, asserted his right to judge the trial as Joan was captured within his diocese.
Okay. He's going to proceed over the trial.
Mhm. There was no jury, but he would be joined by 42 assessors, mostly clerics of various ranks, many of whom had studied theology at the University of Paris and were considered the most educated and intellectual men in the world at this time.
Okay. I mean, on one hand, it's the guys he's picking, so it's probably not going to be fair. But also, on the other hand, they're educated guys, so maybe there
Yes.
is like a little bit of a chance.
Three notaries were present at all times of the trial and kept meticulous notes, which they then copied into five leather bound manuscripts, three of which survive to this day.
Oh, that's cool, actually.
The trial of Joan of Arc is the single most well documented court proceeding from the medieval period and gives us insight not only to Joan's life, her attitude, and works, as well as the court proceedings of the day. And as I said in last episode, if it were not for these trial notes, it would be very easy to say that Joan of Arc never actually existed and that she was just this made up story.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, because it is like giving made up story. It is giving made up. So it is like good we do have that manuscripts because honestly, without that, I'd probably believe it was fake too.
Mhm. This also represents the spark that would light thousands of witch trials going down the rest of history.
Really? So this was like the first real witch
This is
trial,
like
or
the first real witch trial.
interesting. Okay.
The trial began on January 9th, 1431.
And what's 9 minus 3? 6. January 6th, insurrectionist confirmed.
Well, she was an insurrectionist. She insurrected multiple cities.
Exactly. Including our nation's great capital. Joan of Arc led the January 6th insurrection.
I cannot say for certain, but if Joan of Arc was alive today and if she was American, I really don't think she'd be on the side of MAGA.
No, probably not. Probably not. She'd probably have a bunch of tattoos and like a nose piercing. She'd probably have a nice little lesbian girlfriend doing her thing, turning butter in the woods or
No,
something.
I didn't think she'd have a girlfriend. I think she'd take the virginity very seriously.
Oh, so it'd be like your one like friend. Well, not your friend, but that one girl the lesbian who joined the nunnery.
Yes.
Why not? I mean,
Why
be
not?
surrounded by women, it's a lesbian's dream.
That's what she was called to do. Anyways, so the trial began when Joan was examined by the Duchess of Bedford, once again, to see if her virginity was intact. Much to Cochon's displeasure,
Let
it
me see that hymen. Show it to me. Let me see it,
did
little
you
girl.
look up when we discovered the hymen?
No, I'll give it a good
No,
quick.
you don't have to. Just from last episode, you were very hyped up on it.
Keep talking and I'll look it up.
So so Cochon was very upset about this because if Joan had slipped, if she had had sex, or if she had been raped, her status as a maid would have been invalidated, and immediately all of her works would have been discredited. Cochon then dispatched Nicolas Bailly to Domremy to interview her family and neighbors to find any incriminating evidence. He returned to
The
say
Greeks founded it.
the Greeks found it.
The
Okay.
Greeks discovered it. That's the first account they have, like using a term of that stellar membrane inside.
Okay.
So the Greeks were the first ever recorded people to talk about the hymen.
Awesome. So Nicolas, he returned to say that he discovered that she was a kind, quiet, pious girl who is well liked and from a well respected family. He went so far as to say that he, quote, had found nothing concerning Joan that he would not have liked to find out about his own sister, end quote.
I mean, that's too because honestly, she does seem like a very like religious pious girl. She's trying to follow the rules and stuff. Like, yeah, she was like fighting for her country or whatever, but is there anything wrong about that really at the end of the day? She doesn't seem like a bad person.
Is it a sin to be a woman in a man's profession? And that's what these judges are
Exactly.
looking to determine.
Oh, exactly. And as we know, spoiler alert, it's probably not.
Cochon was furious and denounced him as a traitor and wait, ready? A traitor and a bad man. Quote, bad man.
You're a bad man. You're not doing it correctly.
And refused to pay him his agreed fee.
I'm bad at being a man too, so I get it.
All is a bad man. The trial then
Mm-hmm.
resumed on February 21st and was a chaotic
Actually,
shit
no. If
show.
anyone's bad at being a man, it's you.
I'm non binary.
Exactly. You started the free trial for the first 20 something years of your life, and you couldn't handle
Oh,
it. Now you're non binary.
oh my God. Jesus.
Actually, I take that back. Non
Canceled.
binary people are not people who can't handle manhood. If anything, they have embraced the manhood. Please don't cancel me.
The trial, okay, we already said. So the trial was a chaotic shit show. The judges asked so many questions that they would interrupt the end of one question to ask another before Joan could answer and led her to cry out multiple times, please take turns.
Mm, that would be annoying. I get that. It's like when too many people are trying to talk in a classroom, or when DJ
Mhm.
tries to talk over me during the podcast, or when I've been trying to talk over him for the past 10 minutes.
Yeah, but I try to talk over you because everyone comes here for me, not you.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sweetheart. Whatever helps you sleep at night.
Don't call me sweetheart. So it began with the judges gathering, stating their intent to hold the trial, Cochon providing the grant that allowed him to hold the trial in Rouen rather than in his own diocese, and Cochon saying that the vice inquisitor would be absent but had been summoned. The vice inquisitor initially refused to attend, and his absence would make the hearing illegal according to church law, and he was later threatened and compelled to attend by force.
Mm.
They then asked Joan to place her hand on the Gospels and swear to tell the truth. She replied, quote, I know not upon what you wish to question me. Perhaps you may ask me of things which I ought not to tell you. They replied that she had to swear to tell the truth, and she said she would gladly answer their questions about her parents, how she came to meet the king, and of other worldly things, but outright refused to answer questions regarding her voices or the messages they brought her, saying she was forbidden to talk of them to anyone but the King of France.
Girl, that's annoying.
After several attempts to explain this, Joan knelt, placed her hands on the Gospels, and agreed to speak truthfully of all that they asked her, except for her visions, which were between her, God, and Charles.
You know what? Pop off, sis. Why not? If those visions are that important to you, hold them close.
They then asked her about her name, her parents, her baptism, and her religious education, which was provided by her mother. She stated she knew the Our Father, the Hail Mary, and the Creed. The judges pressed her to say the Our Father out loud, and she said she would only say it if one of the priests would hear her confession first. They refused and said she would not be allowed out of prison for confession or to attend Mass. She asked why she had been shackled, and they cited her previous escape attempts, and she said, is wishing to escape illegal of prisoners.
Wishing to escape isn't, but actually trying to escape is. Like, what are we talking about?
Uh, uh, you're not wrong.
That's the crime, sister. It's not a crime
But
to wish it, but actually doing it.
she's not on trial
Right.
in a secular court for having trying to escape prison
Then why are they bringing it up?
because they hate her. Oh
Yeah.
wait, it comes back up later in a crazy way
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd be annoyed too, because she's making all this shit so
because you're a
complicated.
man.
She's making it so complicated. Like, just answer the fucking questions. Stop with these caveats and like, oh, I need this first. It's like if you give a mouse a cookie, you give in to her first thing, it's just gonna keep going and going and going. If you give a mouse a cookie.
Well, here's the thing though. They do give in and she doesn't ask for more.
Okay, well, I did not know that. So if she don't ask for more, fine. Period.
After she asked if it was illegal for wishing to escape, the judges ordered her back to her cell. The next day's session opened with the judges asking Joan again to take the oath and her refusing as she had already taken it, but finally she relented, but again only agreed to answer questions about earthly things and not her voices. She explained her first visitation as a voice in great light from her right side, and that it told her to be good and to go to France. They pressed her on the appearance of her voices and what they said to her and to King Charles VII, but she refused, instead told them of how she came to Chinon.
See, I'm kind of on their side though, because if the voices are the thing that pressed her to do everything she's done, I think it's very fair to ask her about these voices.
So she goes on, she does start to talk more about the voices a little bit,
Mhm.
and she does say that she spoke to them, that they agreed to like let her say certain things.
Mhm.
But the point was they weren't at no point did any of her judges believe in the voices.
Yeah.
The point in their questioning, and as you can see as we get into the third day, everything is repeated multiple times.
Okay.
And the point of that is to trip her up in a lie.
Right, right, which makes sense. Yeah. Yeah,
Where
if
if
the
she's
story
not hearing
changes,
the
yeah.
voices, it's who came who came to you in the garden? Saint Michael. Who came to you in the garden? Saint Michael. Who came to you in the garden? Saint Michael. Who came to you in the garden? And if at any point she says Saint Catherine, well, you said previously Saint Michael.
Right. I mean, police still use that tactic to this day. Like when they're
Exactly.
investigating and interrogating people, they ask them the story multiple times to see if there's any like contradictions in their story. So like that's like a method still used today.
Yes, whether it's right or wrong.
I think it's right. I mean, yeah.
I think it's right. In this instance, it is wrong because it gets to the point of annoying where she's on trial for a month and they are asking her the same questions multiple times for 8 hours every day.
See, I get that. I'm on the
That's
stage side.
torture.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
I agree
that
with
becomes
that.
torture.
Right.
The third day began with another fight about the oath, and Joan challenged them to kill her as to tell them the things God had told her not to reveal would perjure her to him.
So she wants them to kill her?
She said, "You might as well kill me because if I tell you the things that God has told me not to reveal, I am offending him."
Okay, okay. That makes sense. Okay. I see, I see.
They then asked if she still heard her voices, and she answered yes, and they had counseled her to answer boldly, God will help you.
Okay, okay.
They pressed her on the appearance of the voice, and she refused. They then asked her a trick question. Is she in God's grace? It is a tenet of the Catholic faith that only God knows if you are in his grace. If she said yes, she is in God's grace, she's a heretic because she would not know. If she says no, she's a heretic because she admits that she's not in God's grace, so she must have done something to not be there. This 18-year-old peasant girl who had to be taught how to spell her name, and that was the only thing she ever learned to read or write, replied, if I am not, may God place me there. If I am, may God so keep me, which is the right answer to the question.
Right, right. But also, like, has she heard this question before? Like, what's going on, sister?
She then asked the judges if she was in a state of mortal sin. If she was in a state of mortal sin, would the saints and angels of God come to her to counsel her? They asked her about her childhood, especially about a tree which was known by the locals as a fairy tree.
I know a little bit about a fairy tree.
This was another trick question. If she confessed to seeing or believing in fairies, she would be a heretic. She said she knew the tree and heard stories of the fairies, but did not see the fairies and stopped playing around it when she got older, proving she was not a believer in fairies.
Oh, she's heard of the fairies. She's know they're partying in West Hollywood. They're up in drags. She knows all about the fairies.
They said, "Do you know the fairies?" She said, "Pray, I have heard tales from WeHo
Very that.
of the fairies they call the twink, the otter, and the bear."
That was very poetic.
Thank you. I was trying to sound medieval. On February 27th, she revealed her voices to be that of St. Catherine and St. Margaret, and that she had also spoken with St. Michael. She said that she had seen them with her own eyes just as she saw the judges before her. The judges then questioned how she got permission from the voices as to what she was allowed to tell them, and she said, she asked. They then asked her if God told her to wear men's clothing. She scoffed. What concerns this dress is a small thing, less than nothing. The issue of men's dress would come up again and again and again.
Yeah. Heaven forbid, oh, women wear pants.
They then asked her about her sword and if she had blessed it. This is another trick question because only a priest can bless items. She replied, I would not know how because she's not a
Okay.
priest.
Right, right.
They then asked her about her banner and to describe it, and did she prefer it over her sword. She said, quote, 40 times better my banner than my sword.
Mm.
She also testified that in battle she carried her own banner so as to not have to kill anyone, and swore she had never killed anyone personally. On March 1st, questioning began around a letter Joan received from the Count of Armagnac asking which of the popes to obey. At the time, there were three claimants to be pope: Martin V in Rome, Clement VIII in Avignon, and Benedict XIV, who disagreed with Clement and named himself pope by himself.
I don't think you could just declare yourself as Pope, but
Yeah, he said I am the sole cardinal left, and I am pope.
yeah, I don't think that's how that works, but Popoff says.
He was actually called the hidden pope because not only did he do this, but he went into hiding and never revealed where he was being pope from.
Mm.
That's just a fun fact. They asked her about her reply, in which she said she would write back, and whether or not the voices said which pope was legitimate. She stated the voices did not tell her, but her allegiance was to the true pope, Martin V in Rome.
And that was the right answer.
And that was the right answer.
Period. Okay. Okay.
They moved on to the letter she sent to the English, and if God had told her what to say, or if it were the French generals. She stated that they were her own words, counseled by her voices, but the letters they had in evidence had several errors.
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 Okay.
So one of them was that she said surrender to the maid. She said, no, I said surrender to God.
Mm-hmm.
Another one was she said that they said that she could call herself a great chieftain of war. She said, I never called myself a great chieftain of war.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some others. She also warned them at this point, quote, before 7 years are past, the English will lose a greater stake than they did at Orleans, for they will lose everything in France, end quote, and that she knew this by revelation from God.
But the losing France isn't that big a loss, honestly. Just let them have it.
They then asked her about her ring, which was engraved with the names Jesus and Maria and three crosses. They said that she had often been seen to look down at it before battle and asked if it was enchanted, and she said no, she looked at it because it was a gift from her parents before she left home.
Aw, that's actually sweet. That's a heartfelt moment.
Right, and they're like accusing her of like, it's enchanted, you're a witch.
No, it's just mommy's ring. Like,
They so here's where the sass starts to get real immaculate. They asked her again about her visits from St. Catherine and St. Margaret. They asked her if they spoke English, and she replied, why would she speak English when she was against the English?
hey, she knows what she's talking about. That was a good answer.
When asked what they spoke, she replied, proper French, unlike you.
Damn, she's reading the girls in the courtroom. She's letting the girls have it. She's over this.
Because most of these people are either Burgundian clerics or English clerics, so they're not
Right.
speaking French. They asked her about her visits from St. Michael and what he looked like. When she said she did not recall what he wore, they asked her if he was naked, and she replied, quote, do you think God does not have the ability to clothe his angels?
Mm. I mean, she's asking the good questions, okay? She's asking and she's doing the thing. She's letting the girls have it.
They concluded by asking her about the sign she had given to Charles VII, and her brilliant reply was, go ask him yourself.
Mm.
The sixth session began with the judges focusing on her wearing of men's clothing. Who told her she could or should? She was offered women's clothing, but said that she would only change it if it pleased God. They then asked her about paintings others had done of her, and whether or not she promoted herself as a saint and encouraged others to worship her. She said no, that she did not know why people made these paintings or why people asked to pray with her.
Mm.
The session ended when they asked her about her attempted escapes. They accused her of trying to commit suicide, a crime and mortal sin. She denied this and said that her intention was to escape, but that she had prayed to God in case she was fatally injured. The day after the sixth session, Cauchon declared the trial would continue in private in Joan's cell, no doubt because he was tired of her sass and being made a fool of by a girl.
Yeah, yeah. I imagine getting made a fool of by a woman back in the day was not great, especially with all the misogyny and stuff they had going on and whatnot. I mean, damn.
The judges were getting increasingly concerned that they did not have much evidence to convict her and began repeating themselves. They focused mainly on her banner, the sign she had given to Charles VII, and their favorite subject, why did she wear men's clothes?
Right. All this over cross dressing, just let her wear it. Girl, it's really not that serious.
This part of the trial was torture for Joan, as she no longer got to walk from her cell to the castle's great hall or chapel anymore. Instead, she spent 24 hours a day in her tiny, dim cell with only one high up window as 10 to 20 men crowded in to question her at a time.
Oh God. I bet
Also,
that smelled rank as fuck with all those dudes in there.
yeah. Also, when you consider the fact that when she was captured with only the clothes she had on her back. She was never provided other clothes, and it is not known if she was allowed to take care of her own hygiene.
Oh God, that's awful. Oh my God.
Like,
That poor girl.
this is the epitome of like cruel and unusual.
Right, right. Oh, gosh. I mean, and also like her being a lady too and like having a monthly cycle and stuff, like you need to change your clothes for that.
Right? Despite all this, Joan refused to be swayed or to change her answers for the judges. The judges mocked her and asked if her voices had failed her when she was captured, and she replied, "No, it's God's will."
Everything's God's will. She needs a different answer, okay?
She continued to defend her visions that God wished Charles to be King of France and her right to wear men's clothing. She did clarify that her assault on Paris was not at the behest of her voices, but instead at the urging of Charles' advisors, which is why it failed so miserably.
Mm.
She continued to say that her voices urged her to answer boldly, and at one point she told Cauchon, quote, "You say that you are my judge. I do not know if you are, but take good heed not to judge me ill, because you would put yourself in great peril. And I warn you so that if God punish you for it, I shall have done my duty in telling you."
Okay, okay. And
That's basically saying that I'm innocent, and if you condemn me to death, it's on your conscience.
I mean, it is. And it's the same way with all the witch trials and every trial like this. It's on their conscience.
Mhm. She continued to push to be able to go to Mass and was refused if she would not wear women's clothing. She refused as her voices did not bid her to, but offered to wear a dress over her men's clothing if she could go to Mass and was told no.
Oh my gosh. Girl, just put on the dress. At this point, like,
Well,
but
you have to
also like,
remember she's saying no and she's saying that God's telling her not to. But also, she's surrounded by these men who have made multiple rape attempts on her.
mm-hmm,
And the whole point of her dressing like a man and cutting her hair like a man was to prevent that.
mm-hmm.
And if she put on a dress, I mean, like we all know how dresses are. That's basically easy access.
Right, right. Okay, I do take that back. Yeah, no, you're right about that. And you know what? Stick to your guns. You know, if you
And
want to
you
wear
know, I
clothes,
think
get up in the boy clothes.
I mean that's the only part of this entire trial that Joan compromised on was like if you will not let me go to church without wearing a dress, I will wear it over my men's clothing. And
Right,
who's that gonna hurt?
right. Honestly, and like them still refusing is kind of crazy.
Yes, but I don't think they were refusing because of the men's clothing. They were refusing to try and break her.
Right.
She really wanted to go to mass, so they withheld it.
Yeah, she's just in a lose-lose situation. I mean, honestly, this is a bunch of stunt shows and shenanigans.
It
This
really
all
is.
just like a bunch of stunt shows and shenanigans. This is not lawful. Nothing's go like none of this is like a fair trial at all.
Oh, just wait. Just you wait. On May 26th, Cauchon and the assessors met in the bishop's house to discuss the case. Cauchon proposed 70 articles of accusations against her.
Girl, I feel like after 20, you're just making shit up at that point.
On March 26th, they were all read to Joan, and she was given until March 31st to answer each of the 70 articles and if she would submit to the church. She stated, after they were all read, she stated she would submit so far as was not contrary to God's will.
It's always God's will.
Over the next few days, Cauchon was compelled by the master theologians to cut down the articles of accusation to a bare minimum. He settled on 12. Divine claim of apparitions, prophecy and hidden knowledge, letter attribution of the authority of God and the Pope, knowledge of divine favor, self proclaimed purity, boasting and presumption, subjugation of church authority, angel worship, military consecration, defiance of parents, the apparition's approval for her to wear men's clothing, and last but not least, the choice of men's attire.
I thought her parents supported her.
She did kind of leave Dom Remy without telling them.
Damn. Okay. Well, that's not
You
like
really
going
think her
against.
father, who threatened to drown her, was going to let her go? See Sir Robert.
I guess not, but you know, is it like it's that thing like asking for forgiveness is better than asking for permission? And like,
Yeah.
is she disobeying her parents if she never asked them? She doesn't
So
know whether she disobeyed or not.
she did admit that she like left without their permission, but that she had later gone back and asked for their forgiveness and they had gotten it.
Yeah, asking for forgiveness is sometimes a lot easier than asking for permission and a lot better.
They're just looking for something to charge her with. And can we talk about how two of the 12 articles have to do with her wearing men's clothing?
Right? It's like just let homegirl wear she's listen, just let the girl wear men's clothing. All right. It's really not that big a deal. I swear, like, you'll be fine.
Joan told the judges she would be delivered from her imprisonment, and they mocked her, saying she would not be saved, as Charles had washed her hands of her. What they did not know was that St. Catherine had already told her not to fear her death, for she would have a victorious homecoming in heaven.
Oh, okay, period. Awesome. Awesome. I mean, but yeah, hey.
On April 15th, Cauchon made the unusually generous gift of a piece of fresh fish from his own dinner table for Joan's dinner. That night, Joan woke up violently ill and vomiting and developed a severe fever. Doctors were summoned and were going to bleed her to reduce her fever and asked her if she knew of anything to cause her illness, and she told them the only thing that was unusual was the fish sent from Cauchon. Cauchon's
Mm.
protege, Jean d'Esteve, was present and called her a wanton lying whore who poisoned herself. And Joan shouted back at him so hard and so long that she began to deteriorate. Like she started to pass out.
Damn. Damn. I bet that shit was like Bad Girls Club, but in medieval times.
It really was that. And also my new favorite insult, you wanton lying whore.
You wanton lying whore. I do like that. That sounds like it would be fun to scream on the street.
Outside of Lucky's. Joan begged for a priest to come and take her confession and to give her last rites and was refused.
Damn.
This marked a turning point as clerics who participated in the trial against their own will now fully turned away from Cauchon, fearing that he had tried to poison Joan as he feared that she would not be convicted. Jean de La Fontaine, Cauchon's reluctant lieutenant, Martin Levendu, Joan's confessor at this time, and Isambard de la Pierre, a Dominican friar, went to Joan's cell and counseled her of her rights, which Cauchon had denied her, and urged her to write an appeal to the new pope, Eugene IV. The following day, Joan asked Cauchon for her rights, and Cauchon flew into a rage and asked her guards who had been in to see her. The Earl of Warwick, who was the warden, threatened to drown the three clerics, and Lemestre, the vice inquisitor of the city, whose presence was required to give legitimacy to the trial, threatened to denounce the entire thing if any harm came to the man. And De La Fontaine, not trusting Warwick, fled the city.
That's a lot.
Between Cauchon and Warwick's threats, no one would carry an appeal to the Pope, and Cauchon delightedly and unlawfully denied Joan's request for appeal.
Damn, poor Joan. But can't you get like blessed like posthumously or get your last rites like after you die?
You can't receive last rites after death, but there is a formula of prayer for your soul.
Mm. Well, I'm sure Joan will be fine. She's talking with God. I'm sure God knows what's up, what's going down. I'm sure he'll be like, "You're a good girl." It's like kind of like when pretty girls show up to the club, right? And they talk to the bouncer and they just let them in. She's kind of like the pretty girl going to heaven. That she gets to the front line and let them in, I'm sure.
She did recover.
Oh,
And on May 3rd, Joan told her judges the archangel Gabriel, who told Mary of the coming birth of Jesus, angel of mercy and charity, had come to her and told her not to worry, and God would aid her in all things. This worried Cauchon, as if it got out that the angel who first spoke to the Virgin Mother of God had spoken to the Virgin Maid of Lorraine, she would be conflated with the Blessed Mother.
Mm, okay.
Cauchon publicly admonished Joan for her heretical actions and compelled her to disavow her voices or be burnt at the stake. She refused and said, "You will not do to me as you say without evil overtaking your body and soul."
That's quite the statement. That's spooky. I'd be worried if someone said that to me. I'd be like, I would definitely be second guessing myself. I'd be like, oh shit, has evil taken over my soul? Holy shit.
Cauchon then called a meeting to see if Joan should be put to torture and went so far as to take her to the torture chamber and have the different forms of torture explained to her. This is the era of the rack, the Iron Maiden, having your fingernails ripped from their beds,
Right.
um, all that crazy stuff. She told him, "I would rather be ripped limb from limb by horses than deny my God." And further, if she was tortured, anything she said under torture, she would recant after and cite the torture as the reason she said it.
You know what? I need me a man that's as ride or die for me as Joan of Arc is for God. I need me a man like that.
On May 24th, Joan was taken from her cell and marched in the cemetery of St. Owen Church, where a stake to burn her was erected. She was tied to the stake, and the soldiers held lit torches ready to light her ablaze. Cauchon asked her once more if she would abjure of her claims and wear women's clothing. She asked if she agreed if she'd be allowed to go to Mass, and he said yes. She agreed.
Damn, she finally caved in. I guess everyone has their price. Everyone has their thing that'll make them cave.
Cauchon was amazed and had no choice but to allow her to sign a document of abjuration and move her back to her cell, where she was given a dress and her head was shaved to allow her hair to regrow.
You know, that's interesting to me that she like basically just announced God and like gave in, and she still at some point in the future becomes a saint. You'd think like that would be like the antithesis of what you would want of a saint.
So, 4 days later, Cauchon received word that Joan had gone back to wearing men's clothing. When he came to her cell, she found her wearing men's clothing again. She told him that her guards behaved inappropriately towards her in her dress, and she'd wear men's clothing until she was moved to a church prison, as was her right, and she demanded to know why she had not been allowed to attend Mass. Cauchon asked her about her abjuration and explained it was her full and unqualified renouncement of her voices and all they commanded her to do. She told him she had only agreed out of fear and that her voices told her not to be afraid and had admonished her for agreeing. Cauchon met with the judges, many of whom argued she would have should have the terms of abjuration actually read to her this time, before they were all threatened to unanimously vote to turn her over to the English for execution. She had one final warning for Cauchon. "You, who claim to be my judge, will be judged too. I die through you."
That's spooky. I don't like that. Someone told me that I'd be worried. That's spooky.
On the morning of May 30th, she was given the Holy Sacrament of Eucharist, even though she was formally excommunicated.
Mm.
She was then marched to the old marketplace where a stake had been erected. Despite most artistic renditions showing her in virginal white or martyr red, she would have been dressed in witch's black, and she wore a cap reading "Relapsed Heretic" on her head.
Damn. It's like the dunce hat, but with too many words.
One thing I was like, what would this look like? And apparently it looked like a bishop's mitre, like the triangular hat that
Hmm.
bishops wear.
Was that what it looked like?
That's what I read.
Okay,
I
interesting.
wasn't there. I'm not that old.
But also, I'd rather be in black too, honestly. Black's more metal, so I appreciate that.
Yeah. But
I know that's not what she was going for, but that's what I would have went for.
no, they dressed her in that. There were
I know.
different, yeah. If you were a witch, you were burnt in black.
Right, right. More metal,
Yeah. Um,
rock and roll.
yeah, but later artists were like, oh, we're gonna put her in white because she's a virgin.
Right, right. That makes sense.
Although early paintings of it did have her in red, which was the traditional color of martyrdom in the Catholic Church.
Wait, so does she actually get burnt this time?
As she mounted the pyre, she called out for a crucifix, and a soldier handed her a cross made of two sticks and some string, which she clutched to her chest into the point where her hands were bound behind her. As she was tied, De la Pierre, who had counseled her of her rights, ran to a local church, grabbed the processional cross, and stood before her, holding it so that it was level with her eyes. The stake was lit as the people of Rouen watched her burn. As the flames engulfed her, she cried out, God, 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 Jesus, Jesus. At the moment she died, French and English, cleric and layman, reported seeing what looked like a white dove fly from her chest skyward towards heaven.
That's crazy. That's pretty interesting.
After she was dead, the executioner tramped the fire down to show the charred, naked body for her enemies to see that this girl was a mere human and was dead, and was then ordered to build the fire up again and again until all of her remains were reduced to ash. When he had finished, he was ordered to throw the ashes into the river Seine so that no relics could be claimed, and as he collected them, he found her heart intact and was unable to burn it and had to throw it into the river whole.
Why wouldn't you keep that? I'd keep it because that's metal as fuck.
That evening, he went to confession and told the priest he was damned to hell because he had burnt a saint.
I mean, they all did it. It wasn't just him. Okay, we can point fingers all we want, but they all did it. They all stood by and let it happen.
Joan, the maid, was 19 years old when she died, and in just under a year had won a string of battles which had turned the tide of war and crowned a king of France.
Period.
Any thoughts on the trial before I continue?
Thoughts on the trial? I mean, it's all like a false court, I feel like. I mean, it's more of a religious court rather than a real like court. She was probably doomed from the start. Like they just wanted her dead and they just had to get her through and do the whole showing face and do the whole whatever you want to call it just to like get that bitch out of there.
Get that bitch out.
Right, right. Yeah. It was all stunt shows and shenanigans, honestly. Stunt shows and shenanigans, and it was rigged from the start, for my opinion, against her.
Are you ready to hear what happens next?
Yep. What
That's not
happened
the
next?
end of the story.
It never is.
Remember during the trial when she warned the English judges that within 7 years God would turn against the English?
Yes.
Exactly within 7 years, the Burgundians deserted the English and sided with the French, and Charles VII would remain King of France despite Henry VI being crowned at a rival coronation in Notre Dame in Paris the same year that Joan was burned.
Mm.
Henry VI would later be deposed by his cousin Richard, Duke of York, whose son had him imprisoned and claimed the throne for himself. At this point, the English would never have a really serious claim on the throne of France.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, good for the French. Good for the French.
In 1450, right after the English were finally expelled, Charles VII compelled the doctors of the church at the University of Paris to hold an inquest into the life, works, trial, and death of Joan. 4 years later, Joan's mother petitioned the Pope to retry her daughter's case, and the Pope agreed. The retrial was held in Notre Dame in Paris, and Isabelle Romay opened the proceedings with an impassioned speech at the age of over 70, at a time when most people lived to the age of 40.
Right. Damn. She was ancient.
The
Very
following
nice.
year, in a ceremony in the Cathedral of Rouen, the trial and excommunication of Joan was formally overturned and the trial declared unjust, and her judges declared biased and possible heretics.
Mm, interesting. On it. So they said that the people who tried her might have been heretics.
You who claim to be my judges will too be judged.
Mm. And if we know anything, that wouldn't be the first time or last time it happened. If we know anything about the Salem witch trials, there was some heretics up in there on the court.
Joan's mother retired to the city of Orleans, which provided her a home and a pension after the death of her husband the same year as Joan, in thanks for her daughter's lifting the siege. It is said that Jacques d'Arc died in grief for the loss of his daughter.
Well, that makes sense, you know? Like, I'd be sad too.
Joan continued to be an inspirational figure in France. During the French Revolution, leaders questioned condemning her again for her ties to the monarchy, which they had deposed. Napoleon ended this debate declaring, quote, illustrious Joan proved that there is no miracle which French genius cannot accomplish when national independence is threatened.
Period. I mean, that's a good sentiment. Very nationalistic, but good, nice sentiment.
Well, I mean, the man did name himself Emperor of the French.
Right, right. Makes sense.
In 1909, Pope Pius X beatified Joan of Arc, making her blessed, basically acknowledging that she was in heaven and able to intercede on behalf of prayers. In 1920, Pope Benedict XV canonized her as Saint Joan of Arc, patron saint of France, of soldiers, and of prisoners. In addition to being a saint of the Catholic Church, she is also an international icon of France, serving as a symbol of the resistance against the Nazis in World War II, of women being adopted by the feminist movement by her choice to pursue a traditionally men's field, and more recently by the LGBT plus community for her refusal to conform to the gender standards of her time.
Period.
As for Joan, what would she have to say about all this? Quote, I am not afraid. I was born to do this.
Period. Period. She really is like the Mockingjay. She's the Katniss Everdeen of that time. She was
Yes.
the girl, the doll, the diva.
She is also probably the single saint within the Catholic pantheon who is like most portrayed in literature, in theater, in film, in music. Um,
I mean, it makes sense. It's a good story.
it is. So Mark Twain, he of Tom Sawyer fame,
Yeah.
wrote only two biographies in his life. One was his own autobiography, and one was an epic biography of Joan
Why are
of
you giving
Arc.
me the finger, girl?
Sorry,
Flipping me
sorry.
off.
I was trying to do this. Sorry. Um, so one was his own biography, one was an epic biography of Joan of Arc, which he later said was his best and favorite book he had ever written.
You
Um,
know, that was probably his pop diva of the time.
it
How he
was,
got Brittany and Taylor. He had Joan of Arc.
which is crazy because he hated religion and he hated the French,
That is kind of crazy.
but he loved Joan of Arc.
He sounds a little bit like me.
Wait, hang on. I did not use it. I did not use it for this research because she thick.
Damn. It is crazy. I didn't think you had that many Joan of Arc books.
So I bought this 3-4 research forgetting I had that one.
Jeez, you got like you're about to have a whole Joan of Arc library at
I
this
am.
point. That's crazy about you.
Um, Also, she's subject of lots of films.
Hmm.
There's a very famous one made by Cecil B. DeMille, the greatest of the early film directors.
Hmm.
There's another one starring Ingrid Bergman as Joan of Arc. Ingrid Bergman was one of the greatest actresses of the golden age of Hollywood. And more recently, there was one made in 1999, maybe 2000, called The Messenger, Joan of Arc, and it has what's her name? She's in Resident Evil. That's a scary movie. Don't you like that one?
No, I've never seen Resident Evil and I'm not going to watch it.
Mila Jovanovic.
Okay. Don't know that person, but I bet
No.
I imagine she's a good person.
I just thought you might have seen Resident Evil and you might know who that is.
No, it's one of those many classic movies I haven't seen, like Jurassic Park and whatnot.
Well, you like scary movies, so I thought you might have seen that one.
Right, right. No, that clocks, that tracks, that tracks. I could see why you'd think that for sure, for sure. Honestly, I'm surprised, like, well, I'm gonna say I'm not surprised. If Disney didn't already have Mulan, and is Merida the one redheaded girl?
Yes.
If they didn't already have those two princesses with the same storyline, I'd say make her Disney princess.
I think she's a little too Christian to be a Disney princess.
Yeah, it is a little like it is a very religious story for sure. So I could see why Disney would steer away
Yes.
from it.
And already there's a play by a German Schiller.
Hmm.
Um, he wrote a play in which it is based on the story of Joan of Arc. But like it starts with Joan of Arc being engaged to a guy in her village,
Hmm.
and then hearing the voices of God and deciding to go off to France. And then later she um falls in love with an English soldier,
Hmm.
and she lets herself go to the stake because she failed God because she fell in love.
God, these girls. It sounds like she needs to take a breath and calm down. Like, uh,
That's not really her. That's somebody's just like, yeah, she fell in love, so she died.
wait, they said that about Joan? I thought you were
Yeah,
talking
it
about
was a
another
play.
person. Oh,
It was a
okay,
play.
okay,
Schiller wrote a play on Joan of Arc, and that was
okay.
later adapted into an opera by Tchaikovsky.
Okay. Sorry, I was confused for a second.
Yeah,
I
no.
thought it was about someone else. But yeah, no. And also, I will say, I do think Joan of Arc and Annalise Michel, or Michelle, however you want to say it, would have been homegirls. They both highly religious, both visions of godly
Mhm.
things and whatnot. They would have been homegirls. I bet they would have had a good old time. They're probably had a good ass time in heaven.
So it's funny you should say that because there is a very famous later Catholic saint, Saint Therese of Lisieux, who is
Hmm.
also from France. She was from the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Hmm.
In her childhood, she dressed up like Joan of Arc for Halloween, and she actually wrote an entire hymn praying for the canonization of Joan of Arc before she was made a saint.
Interesting.
And
Damn.
so they're considered two of the great patron saints, along with Saint Michael of France.
Oh. Hmm. The more you know. I'm learning a lot about. Wait, is this just Catholicism? Are the Catholics the only people who recognize Joan as a saint, or is it like the other branches too?
So, mainly Catholicism, although she is regarded as a saint, ironically, within the Church of England.
Hmm, interesting. That is ironic, especially because she beat their ass. Well, I guess they beat her ass at the end, but.
So, actually, when she was made a saint, there was a big mass held in the Vatican, which was
Mhm,
the formal proceedings. But after the declaration, there were big celebrations held at both Notre Dame in Paris, as well
mhm,
as Westminster Cathedral in London, which is the main Catholic cathedral in England.
mhm,
And the papal prelate of France, so the Pope's ambassador in France, said 5 centuries after her life, Joan of Arc not only has united France, but has reunited or has united in joy the French with their common enemies, the English, in the joy of God's love.
okay. I mean, that's a nice sentiment. Yeah, that's very nice. Very nice. Yeah. And like, whether you believe it or not, like, it is a lot of nice sentiments and
Mm-hmm.
everything. Like, whether you believe she was like getting the visions or not from God, I mean, the message is there. Like, it's a good message.
Now, as for so a lot of people have suggested schizophrenia.
Hmm.
I'm going to discount that because schizophrenia is more scattered. She was very together with what she said.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah.
Other people said that she lied.
Hmm.
I'm going to say it is a possibility because we weren't there, but she did know a lot of things and predict a lot of things that came to pass, which it would be very hard.
Right. those are hard to dispel for sure.
Personally, and I can get canceled for this, I do believe she was seeing what she said she was seeing.
I don't think that's cancelable. I don't think that's like one of the least cancelable things.
Here, I say I'll get canceled for this because people on the internet are going to call me an idiot for believing that.
Mhm. No, no. I mean, if anyone ever commented on our video,
Yeah. Um,
but no.
but I, as a practicing Catholic, feel very strongly about Joan of Arc. When I
Mhm.
got confirmed, I wanted to take Joan of Arc as my patron saint.
Mhm.
I took Nicholas as my confirmation name, but I still regard Joan of Arc as my patron saint. And most days I wear a necklace that has a cross, a miraculous medal of the Blessed Mother, and then Joan of Arc.
Period. Period. Very nice. Very nice.
Both for her originally just because of her like hearing God's message and like doing God's will, and now that I'm older and like more confident in my sexuality and my gender identity because like she really did something there.
Yeah, she was one of the pioneers, cross-dressing for the girls.
How about you, Paul? What do you think about Joan of Arc?
Hmm. Honestly, I don't really know what to think. I mean, it's a nice story. The messages are there, good messages. Stand up for what you believe in, do your thing. The feminism of it all. It's a cool story at the end of the day. Yeah. And not that it's just a story because she was a real person and
Yes.
everything. Like, it is like really cool. Like, she did all that shit. Like, it
Hmm.
is really cool.
Yeah. Like I mentioned, normally saints have relics. There are no relics because
Hmm.
everything was destroyed. But her main shrine is the Church of Joan of Arc in the old marketplace in Rouen, where she was burnt.
Hmm.
The church is built in the marketplace, and they've rebuilt the market stalls that would have been there, but like very artistically.
Hmm.
And there's a garden in the exact spot where she was burned that you can go
Oh,
visit. So that
that's nice.
um, also the town where she grew up still exists. You can go there and you can see the home where she was born and raised. That's still there. And her town was is no longer known as Domremy. It is now known as Domremy Le Pucelle, Doremi of the Maiden.
Of the puss. Of the pussy.
Oh my god. Not the plus.
T, no. So yeah, if you ever need an inspiring story, something to get you out of bed when all the odds are against you and you need something inspiring, go look up Miss Joan of Arc.
Yes.
Remember what Homegirl did? That's super cool.
Yes. And for any of our listeners who are in Pittsburgh, there is also a shrine of Joan of Arc here in Pittsburgh in Oakland's St. Paul's Cathedral. Right off the lobby, there is a chapel with a really nice statue of her and 15th century French tapestries telling her story.
Oh, that's cool actually. I didn't know that was a thing. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Maybe one day you'll let me like take you there just for the pot. Like we'll literally just go and see the chapel and leave.
Oh, I can't. I'll burst into flames.
Probably.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll FaceTime you while I'm there.
I haven't been in a church in years. Well, actually, maybe not years.
Your
I'm
mom's
sure
wedding.
Oh, my mom's wedding. Yep, my
Your mom's
mom's
wedding.
wedding. Yeah. No. And I'm sure there was like a Christmas or like something I went that I'm not thinking of. But yeah. I feel like this time around I might burst into flames though, but we'll
Mm.
see.
Was that as off as you thought it was going to be, Paul?
No, no, I tuned out just enough of the history to make it interesting.
I I tried to cut down on the history as much as possible, but there was some context needed.
No, I understand. I appreciate the history. I was just joking.
I know. Anything else before speak now or forever hold your peace?
No, that was actually a really interesting story. She has a really good story. I liked it.
Well, please, everyone, let us know what you think. Like, subscribe, and follow wherever you're listening. Please comment down below. Connect with us on all of our social media. And if you have personal stories, please email us. Paul, where can they find you?
You can find me at my personal Instagram and TikTok at Paulember, Paulember. And as usual, it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
And if you'd like to follow me, you can do so at the Real Deech Powers on TikTok and at Instagram. And until next time, as always, keep your crips tight.
And your corks loose.
Bye.
Bye.
Marry me. I don't know how to read.
But there's Jim! The gym is calling the bros!